At Hatz, we're always talking about using AI to use AI better. How can you use AI to better understand prompt engineering or to create better system prompts? We even have something called the Hatz Workshop Assistant that can take your ideas and turn them into agents and workflows and cut down on the need for humans sitting here and typing out exactly what the AI should do. So I had this thought. I was going to give AI a use case that I wanted it to use the Hatz Workshop Assistant to turn into a workflow or an agent. And I was just going to describe the use case. But I said, what if I'm not doing a great job of explaining what I want? Let me ask the AI how it wants to receive that information. So let's play this out and see how it worked for me. I'm saying, I'm going to describe a use case to you that I want you to create a system prompt for. How would you like to receive that information? Now, if you're not familiar, a system prompt is just the sort of sometimes hidden or foundational prompts that the AI uses. In agents, we call it the instructions. In workflows, it can be how the prompts are written to understand what to do with inputs and everything that you would write. And then when you click generate, it's the stuff that's behind the scenes. So that's how we use it in this case. And it's asking me to provide the context here, to provide these 6 inputs to help it better understand the use case and write the most efficient, reliable, useful system prompt. So I have 2 options here. I can either just respond and say, number 1, role and persona, here's who you are. Number 2, the goal or the task, and here's what you should do, your job. I can go through this, or I can turn this into a repeatable agent or workflow that will take this information as inputs, and all I have to do is hit generate then. So let's do that. Let's turn this into something that's going to help us spin up more and more and more workflows and agents in the future. So what I'll do is turn on the auto tool and say, actually create a workflow that collects these 6 inputs as separate user inputs in step 1, and then writes a system prompt or outlines a workflow in step 2. And I turned on auto tool so that it can choose the Hatz Workshop Assistant, which again is going to write the prompts to create this workflow for me. And a couple of tool calls later, it created a workflow called the System Prompt Builder. Step 1 collects the 6 inputs that it described up here in the chat. And step 2 acts as an expert prompt engineer to write polished system prompts. So let's check it out. These are the 6 parts that it collects. And then we can see what it looks like under the hood. We can see, as expected, there are 2 steps here where prompt 1 collects the information and sort of summarizes it a little bit. And then step 2 uses that information to create a system prompt that I can then turn into another agent or a workflow or whatever I'd like. So let's try it out. So I just filled this out using HubSpot as an example. I want to create an agent that's a HubSpot expert. The goal of helping the user troubleshoot HubSpot or better understand how to build something in it and give clear step-by-step explanations or recommendations. The audience is an average HubSpot user, and the tone should be helpful, friendly, direct, and it should always check official HubSpot documentation. So it works really quickly. It's going to grab all this information, just make sure it's clearly understanding it, and then send it to prompt 2, where it creates the system prompt for us. We can take a look at it right here, less than 20 seconds, and we've got this nice, helpful prompt. We'll copy this out, and I'm actually just going to go do this right here so you can see how easy this is. We're going to create a new agent. And under instructions or system prompt, we'll just drop that right in there. So I'm giving it these tools to use. I've given it Gemini 3 Pro preview. I've dropped in the system prompt here. And now we're going to create the agent. There we go. So instead of having to sit here and type all of this out or go back and forth in the chat with the Hatz Workshop Assistant, I use the Hatz Workshop Assistant to create something to help me create more things. This might not be something you use every day when you're working with AI, but if you are building a lot of tools for your organization, maybe think about trying something like this, where it's using the skills and the tools that are available and turning that into something that you can replicate, that you can turn out more and more and more workshop items much more quickly, much more efficiently. So try this out. AI knows how AI wants to receive information, and this just lets it collect that information much more easily. And now you've got this HubSpot expert. You could do this for anything. So I'm going to publish this system prompt builder to the Hatz community. If you want to try it out, let me know what kind of workflows or agents you're using it to build and put those in the comments. Happy prompting.